My goal with this project for my students is to have them do some of the hands-on work of historical research with primary documents and to get an experience of the kinds of documents that historians go to when they're trying to hear voices from the past.
One of my goals is just to get students excited about their research topics, and by using the special collections materials, I'm able to show them a lot of different possibilities for things they can write about.
Using special collections, it's a chance for them to actually see and feel and smell and experience, what these sources are looking like, to read them as physical sources, kind of experience them in a more tangible way.
I wanted to be able to give my British Literature Survey students a fuller perspective on the whole Victorian period. And so being able to pull in special collections items that we might not get a chance to read as a class, but they get to look at, explore, and really do that. They can gain a better sense of the time period as a whole, even in a survey class.
Well, I've always used museum collections in my classes because, well, we're based in the Museum Studies program, so it seems kind of obvious that you would do that. And I have expanded in the last 4 years to include special collections, so we're focusing on library books and archival collections. And really what I'm wanting to do is expose students to the kinds of objects, the kinds of collections that they might work with in either museums or libraries or archives.
I had 3 learning goals or objectives with this project, and the first one was for students to gain experience dealing with primary sources. The second goal was by having these primary sources, the students have an opportunity and to gain an experience interpreting things on their own, thinking on their own, and seeing what are the significance about these historic objects. And the third one is for students to have exposure to one of the most prominent biblical archaeologists, both male and female in history, Kathleen Kenyon. And particularly for female students, I hope that this opportunity to learn from one of the leading women, female scholar in the history and academy of biblical archaeology, that they can be inspired and encouraged by her accomplishments.
A lot of them think of historical documents as just printed books, but to realize that letters and diaries and songs and poems and lots of material like this that one might not initially think of can serve as a window into people's thought in the past and their lives.
I've really enjoyed watching students and working with those collections because they come to those and they make connections and they create meaning and they engage with those special collections in ways that I hadn't even anticipated, and we end up going sometimes in a different direction, but it's always a fruitful direction.
I really wanted to help them come to see literature with a sense of wonder and a sense of appreciation, to see that the library values these items enough to take care of them, to display them, and to get them to ask the question of why is literature valuable? Why do we care about it? So really that broader sense of the time period, and then that sense of wonder and appreciation.
I was surprised by how excited my students got about it, getting into the archives, working with these sources. This was something that I thought was going to be interesting. I didn't expect them to get into it as much as they did.
First time I incorporated special collections materials, I had a number of students get really excited about it and use those materials in their major essays. It's also kind of intangible in some ways. I can see the essays, but there's also a lot of excitement that students have, and it's hard to know exactly how far that carries into the course, but I can see that they really generate a lot of interest through these materials.
A handwritten diary entry or a sermon notes or a letter or correspondence of some sort kind of brings these figures from the past to life in a way that a textbook just can't do.
Seeing these items from over 150 years ago really made them feel connected to the time period in a way that they hadn't before. And I think that it increased their sense of the reality of the time period by being able to touch the things, look at the things, and to have that sense of connection and an interest in what was going on then.
I would just say that I think this has been a great opportunity for students to kind of have a fuller experience of what it means to do historical work and give them greater appreciation for the past of the institution at Baylor, as well as the historical past in general.
When I did this last year, the students had an amazing time. In fact, right after class, there were so many students that talked about how cool this was, how exciting it was, how it was fresh, and many students commented like, I had no clue. I could have never imagined that our library had so cool things. That's literally the word they used.
Each time I visited the special collections, I get very positive reviews from students, and they always say in their course evaluations, please make sure you keep doing that. We want to see more of that. Can you do more field trips?
In my experience working in special collections, I would recommend for professors here at Baylor, especially in the humanities, take advantage of the opportunities that Baylor has, whether it's the Armstrong Browning Library, the Texas Collection, Keston Center, the Pogue Library. There's so many different opportunities and resources that they have that can enrich your class's learning.